Hey guys, it's Zoe, and today I am going to be filming part 2 of my 2020 reading list. I just got done filming part 1 a few minutes ago, and so I decided to start filming part 2 as that video is uploading. But I'm just going to get right into it. So the first book for this video I have is called Blood Rose by William Heffernan. I think that's how you say his last name. So just like I said in the first book, I will most likely be messing up on words a lot. I have never been good at reading out loud, whether it's to somebody or just, me reading out loud to myself. I tend to stutter on my words a lot, so sorry for that. But anyways, this book I have, it says, the first young woman is found in an open field, her mutilated body savaged with wild animals within days. A second is discovered in the woods, her corpse torn and defiled by human hands. Now a third victim bears mute witness to the terrifying truth. The presence of depraved and relentless executioner, a maniac stalking the quiet countryside, the motive a mystery, the calling card, a withered rose exchanged for a missing heart. For Paul Devlin, who fled his job as a New York City detective after a serial killer nearly claimed his life and his sanity, the nightmare had begun again. The safety he had sought in becoming the chief of police of a small Vermont town has vanished. Now there is another maniac on the loose, and the clock is ticking. This time he must capture a killer more elusive and more deadly than any he has ever known. And he must do it before a special victim falls to the killer's knife, a victim who is the woman Devlin loves. As he plunges into the morass of a small town where everyone has something to hide, Paul Devlin finds himself enmeshed in a web of secret hatred and violence to the people he seeks to protect. He has become as dangerous as the killer who roams the bucolic mountains. Beside by his own past and attacked on all sides, Devlin finds he must now face his own dark fantasies and deep-set fears before he can understand the seething obsessions that he has exposed into deadly rage, and there may not be enough time. Masterful and mesmerizing Blood Rose is a suspense at its relentless best, a fast-paced thriller that races towards the climax of its lethal manhunt and an action-packed, electrifying confrontation. Oops. I believe I actually got this while I was camping in Florida with my grandparents. They had a traveling library, which is basically a library where you can take and leave books. So most of the time you would take a book and leave a book, which I believe I did end up leaving a book. I don't remember what book I left. But I do believe that this is one of the books I took from the traveling library. But yeah. So, okay. So the next book I have is called The Partner by John Grisham. Oh, I forgot to put that back in. Sorry, I had to put the bookmark back in the last book. So this one says, they watched Danilo Silva for days before they finally grabbed him. He was living alone, a quiet life on a shady street in a small town in Brazil. A simple life in a modest home, certainly not one of luxury. Certainly no evidence of the fortune they thought he had stolen. He was much thinner, and his face had been altered. He spoke a different language and spoke it very well. But Danilo had a past with many chapters. 4 years earlier, he had been tragic Lanigan, a young partner in a prominent Biloxi law firm. He had a pretty wife, a new daughter, and a bright future. Then one cold winter night, Patrick was trapped in a burning car and died a horrible death. When he was buried, his casket held nothing more than his ashes. From a short distance away, Patrick tracked his own burial when he fled. 6 weeks later, a fortune was stolen from his ex-law firm's offshore account, and Patrick fled some more, but they found him. So, like I said before, I tend to gravitate towards, I guess now more like a mystery type book or murder, things like that. I do have a few like romance stories, but my bookshelf is slowly filling up with more like mysteries and murders and different like crime type books. So the next book, I have tried reading this book like 3 different times, and it's not the book that I don't like. I like the book. I just can't sit down and focus and read that well. And so the next book I have is called 5 Feet Apart, which I have watched the movie. I like the movie. And I believe I got the book after I watched the movie. So this one, if you guys don't know what it's about, this is about a girl named Stella Grant who has a disease called cystic fibrosis, which I don't have cystic fibrosis, but I am a carrier of it. And so she likes to be in control, even though she is totally out of control of her lungs. And she is in and out of the hospital. At this point, what Stella needs to control most is her distance from anyone or anything that might pass along an infection and jeopardize the possibility of a lung transplant. 6 feet apart, no exceptions. The only thing Will Newman wants to be in control of is getting out of this hospital. He couldn't care less about his treatments or a fancy new clinical trial. Will is exactly what Stella needs to stay away from. But suddenly 6 feet doesn't feel like safety. It feels like punishment. What if they could steal back just a little bit of space their broken lungs have stolen from them? Would 5 feet apart really be so dangerous if it stops their hearts from breaking too? So, a few years ago, I feel like my mom has told me before, but I remember a few years ago, my mom told me that when I was a baby, I was tested for cystic fibrosis, and I don't have it, but I am a carrier of it. So that means that if the person I have a child with is also a carrier of it, some people, I don't know if everybody, like, you may be a carrier of it, but I don't know. I don't really know the medical things, but anyways, if the person I have a kid with is also a carrier, there is a possibility of our child getting cystic fibrosis. I don't know if my kid could get it with just one parent being a carrier. Like I said, I don't really remember. I remember looking into it, but I don't remember like the medical stuff I read. So yeah, I also don't know what side of the family I got it from. My mom says my dad's family, but I don't know. But anyways, the next book I have is called A Chill in the Blood by P.N. Elrod. It is a The Vampire Files. So Jack Fleming was a man of many trades. When he was alive, he was a reporter with a nose for the grittiest news. Now that he is dead, he's a private eye with a thirst for justice and blood. But being a vampire with moles is no midnight stroll on the mean streets of post-prohibition Chicago. There's a cold wind blowing off the lake. It smells of death, and even Jack can feel it chills. For in the city of sin, the gangs still rule, and they're on the brink of an all-out war. No one, not the crooks or the cops, cares how much blood, innocent or otherwise, flows during the fight. No one except a certain undead PI. Caught between the local herds and the boys from New York, can Jack stop the battle before it starts? And how much of his remaining humanity will he have to give up to do so? Um, so I'm also into, I don't have a lot, this might be the only one, but I'm also into like vampires, like stories and riches and things like that. But I believe this is the only vampire book I do have. And I do want to get more one day. I mean, there's a lot of books I do want to get one day. But as of right now, I think I need to finish the entire bookcase of books that I have not read or touched. Because I tend to get yelled at from my mother every time I buy a new book because I no longer read like I used to. So the next book I have is called The Summer I Dared by Barbara Delinsky. So this one is about, this is the question that haunts Julia Betchel, Noah Pine, and Kim Colella, the only survivors of a boating accident off the coast of Maine that claims the life of 9 other people. Julia, a 40-year-old wife and mother, has always taken the path of least resistance, pigeonholed by her controlling family and increasingly distant husband as loyal and obedient. She realizes in the aftermath of her brush with death that there is more to her and to the world around her than she ever imagined. Feeling strangely connected to Noah, the divorced, budding lobster man who helped save her life, and to Kim, a 21-year-old whose role is in the accident and subsequent muteness are a mystery. Julie begins to explore the unique possibilities offered by the quiet island of Big Sawyer, Maine. Suddenly things that once seemed critical lose significance. And things that seem incremental take on a whole new importance. With each passing moment, each new discovery, Julia grows more sure that after coming face to face with death, she must have more from life. Resolving to make things right for the future and drawing on an inner strength she never knew she possessed, Julia passionately awakens to a new world, fearlessly embraced uncertainties in a way she couldn't have imagined only a few weeks ago. Set in a beautifully rendered island off the coast of Maine where lobstermen leave with the tide each morning to haul and reset their traps, and neighbors gather each night to feast on the catch of the day. Barbara Delinsky's Summer I Dared, in a deeply moving story of the risk but rewarding search for self and story of survival and the irresistible ability of the human spirit to rebound from disaster and to create life anew. So the next 3 books I have is in a series. So The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. I'm not going to read off the descriptions of these ones, because I'm pretty sure most people know what these are about. But yeah, so these are the three next books. I then have a book called Hourglass by Myra McEntire. For 17-year-old immersion corps, life is about seeing what isn't there. Swooning Southern belles, soldiers long forgotten, a haunted jazz trio that vanishes in an instant. Plagued by phantoms since her parents' death, she just wants apparitions to stop so she can be normal. She tried everything, but the vision keeps coming back. So when her well-meaning brother brings in a consultant from a secretive organization called the Hourglass, Imogen's willing to try one last cure, but meeting Michael Weaver may not change only her future, it may also change her past. Who is this dark, mysterious, sympathetic guy, barely older than Imogen herself, who seems to believe every crazy word she says? Why does it feel like an electric current runs through him whenever he's around? And why is he so insistent that he needs her help to prevent a death that never should have happened? So it looks like I got this one at a book sale, but I'm not sure. So then the next 4 books I have, there's more books in this series, I just don't have them. But I have the Infinity Ring series 1 through 4. I remember reading this one, I believe in middle school, but I don't remember what it's about, so I'm gonna reread it so that way I can actually read the other the other 3 that I have. And I know there's a book 5, but I don't know if it continues after that. So the first one says, when best friend Dax Smith and Sarah Frost stumble upon the key to time travel, a handheld device known as the Infinity Ring, they're swept up in a centuries-old war for the fate of humankind. Recruited by a secret society named the Historians, the kid learn that history has gone disastrously off course. Now it's up to Dax, Sarah, and young historian Rick to travel back in time to fix the great books. And then number 2 says, hundreds of ships carrying thousands of Viking warriors are attacking medieval Paris. The Parisians are fighting back, but they can only last so long. And that's bad news, especially since Dak has been captured and forced to work with the invading army, while Sarah and Rick defend Paris from within. No matter which side wins, the kids will lose, unless Dak can find an ally among the vicious Vikings. Number 3 says, Daxter and Rick return to the United States and walk right into Deadly Trap. The year is 1850 and the nation is divided over the issue of slavery. In these dark days, the Underground Railroad provides a light of hope, helping runaway slaves escape the freedom, but the SQ has taken control over the Underground Railroad from within. Now Dak and Sarah are left wondering who to trust, while Rick risks everything to save the life of a young boy. And then the last one I have says, Sarah has a secret. She's seen the future and it is terrifying. Unfortunately, she can't do anything to prevent the cataclysm while stranded with Dak and Rick thousands of years in the past. Their only hope lies with the ancient Maya and mysterious people who claim to know a great deal about their future. Is there more to these ancients than meets the eye? So then another thing about these books is in each book it has a little thing and it says top secret only after you've completed a eternity in time. So if you open it, it comes with this like little book type thing, which folds out into like little poster type things, and it has a map type in the back. I'm not gonna open each one just because I can never figure out how to close it. Okay, so this is just from the first book, but each book has one. And I tend not to listen, even though it says not to open it until after you're done reading. I opened it before I read, just because I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish the book or not. But yeah, so that's the last of the books that I have. So comment down below any other video ideas you guys have or book suggestions that you have for me. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified every time I upload a new video, and I will see you guys the next time I upload. I don't have a set day yet, but I am trying to figure out what day of the week works best for me. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you the next time I upload a video, and I love you guys. Bye.